welcome back to Building with Boba. Today we're going to be learning how to make a phone stand. Like this. It's actually pretty simple. Again, where we did the fidget spinner, we basically copy follow the exact instructions as this document I wrote up has exact instructions for each step, so there's no way to confuse. For example, opening a new file, and it has corresponding pictures. So, first thing we're going to do is obviously open Onshape. And then we're going to press View Normal 2 to the front plane. Next, we're going to create a new sketch. And select that text. Then you're going to follow, make a similar shape to what I have here. Now you'll notice here that if you zoom in, that these are not really parallel, these two lines. The easiest way to fix it is to drag these. However, it's hard to get it to be exact, so I'm just going to undo it and restart. So I'm going to first draw this line here. See that little perpendicular symbol that shows up? That means I'm doing it properly. And another perpendicular symbol. Now I didn't do the math and to make sure that whatever shape you make will actually support the device. See, like mine is very steep. If I'm fine with that steepness, that's good. But if you want a phone stand that's not as steep, change the angle accordingly, and make sure you make this bottom leg long or longer than the furthest point, or else your object will fall down. Next step is dimension. We're going to be clicking dimension on each of these, and let's see what the instructions say. Okay, so now my instructions are saying to make the dimensions exactly the same as mine. Now this step isn't exactly necessary, but I'm going to do it just because the method, when I tested it out, it worked. So the first number is 0.51. And it might be because I'm in centimeters or millimeters, I'm not sure. Nope, it's in the correct unit. you'll see it's much larger now. Oops. And it's not even fitting inside the grid. It's really easy to fix that. Basically, I'm going to select all these objects with my mouse and move them. To move them, I will... Actually, right now it's not necessary to move these shapes. So I'm going to just leave them there. Next up, let's look at the instructions. Okay. So we select all these shapes and press... Which button is it? Okay, yep, that one. The offset button. And you see this arrow that shows up. You make sure it points inwards. And so the blue thing is inside. Then I'll press enter. And now you see we have a bunch more lines. Finally, we connect everything together by drawing a line from here to here and here to here. And now you'll see the object turns gray. If at this step your object does not turn gray, that probably means you did something wrong. Go back in the video and make sure you did all these steps. We're nearly done. So if you're following along on the step-by-step instructions, which will be in the description of course, we're going to be on step number 28, which is nearly finished. So we select finish with sketch, extrude, which we have done before, and right now it's a depth of 1 inches. Why don't you rotate it to see how long 1 inch is? That's not long enough in my opinion. Usually phone stands are as long as a normal or slightly shorter than a phone. Or this could also be for a tablet or any other device, or it could be even like a notepad or something. It could be really whatever you want it to be. You can see mine is a little bit steep. Maybe too steep, but I think I'm going to leave it. But if you don't want it to be as steep, then redo the sketch to make it the correct length. And then you're basically done. This is the phone stand complete. There's no necessary steps to add. Now I'm going to be doing a few more smaller steps that aren't necessary, but make it look much nicer. One of them is always rounding the edges. I always do this for most of my builds. It makes it look really nice. So I'm going to press this button, fill it, round these sides, and we can round there. We can basically round all the parts and it'll look really nice. Some parts of it though don't round properly, so if you get like an error, just undo that. Here, let me show you what I mean by that. So right here, when I click on this side, it undoes everything. And you'll see over here on the left that this is red. That means something is wrong. So I'm just going to click it again to undo that action. And it's all better. that looks pretty cool. One more kind of necessary part to add is if you wanted this phone stand to charge your phone, you need like a little hole in there for the cord to go through. So we're going to do that now. Basically, we click on this side, press view normal 2, rotate a bit so you can see it properly. Oops. Press sketch right there. Then I'm just going to make a circle, and I probably should center align it, but it won't. It's not too important. I'm just going to draw a small circle there, and select the circle, press extrude. Instead of normal extrusion though, we're going to be doing a remove. Press this button up here that says remove, and that's exactly what it does. It creates a hole. So now we have a small hole there, and we want a small hole right there-ish where my mouse is, so you can plug in the phone easily. So same thing, new sketch, click on the face I want it to be on, press view normal 2, then that small little hole will just be right there. Make sure to not make the circle too large, or else it will mess with the walls of the print. That's the maximum I can make it probably without it causing errors. Extrude. Remember, remove. And then we got those two matching holes. Some designs of phone stands don't have like a hole there, but rather there's just like a slot in the middle that's open. I personally like that design more. I'm going to be doing that, but I showed you that whole design if you like that option more. So, just like before, I'm going to be selecting that sketch, press new sketch, press that face, press view normal 2, then I'm going to be drawing a large square, press extrude, and except it's remove, not the other option. Simple enough. You'll see there though, there's this weird hole thing. That's caused by it not being big enough and some of the previous hole interfering. What I'm going to do though to fix that problem is that didn't solve that problem I wanted to solve. Okay, so we're going to go back to the sketch. And it seemed like it didn't cut that hole properly. There we go. That's how we got it. I basically made a square there. The reason why there's complications is I had that circle too, and it was getting in the way, and I couldn't see it properly. But you shouldn't have that issue. And I would suggest instead of doing it on top of each other, if you did not what I was doing, to either erase one of them or undo. The only other thing we could add to make it even better is to maybe write something on the back of it or something like that. So again, it's pretty easy. We just do new sketch, press view normal 2, zoom in if you want, and press this button up here called text. You can write basically whatever you want. And it's over there. The problem is, since this is obviously not Google Docs, it's not, oops. There's not easy ways for the text to be manipulated, and obviously there's less fonts and whatever. What I do is I press this button, dimension, to lock this in place. Then I'm able to basically move this around and oh, I see what I did the wrong thing. So I'm supposed to draw a dimension from first select on one of the sides and put one of the sides to the edge of the stand, like so. You can see that these two lines are practically next to each other, the blue lines. Then draw a dimension tool from this line to this line. You'll see it's a really small number. Now unselect the dimension tool and escape. Then you're able to zoom out a bit. And again, this is why it's not necessary to do this. It's a bit complicated. And you're able to grab on one of the sides and scale it properly to however big you want it to be. Like that. I would suggest not doing it as close to the walls because you might get some issues again with printing. Then once I'm happy, I'll press done, and you just extrude the letters. You'll see that's like an inch long, it says. That's obviously way too big. It will be done like just a small amount. You could also do it as a remove of the surface. Actually, you're not able to. The reason why is because let's look at this B over here. If you remove this B, there's going to be a hole in the middle, and there's supposed to be something in the middle. But since you're removing it, there will be no support of that object, and it'll just fall. It's hard to really see on video. You actually have to print it out and see it in person. But trust me, removing it doesn't really work that well. Especially for letters like O and B. Anything with like a closed circle won't print properly, like this A. So adding is fine. And of course, as we talked before, you can add color to wherever you want, but when you print it out, it'll just be whatever color your filament is. So this is just for appearances. bright orange. That looks pretty cool. And like we talked about before, to get a nice picture of it, we have to hide all these features on the side. You'll see that they're grayed out once they are. You obviously can't hide and extrude because that's part of the product. And so that's, oh, must have missed a side to color. That's okay. And that is my phone stand. Let me know if you have any questions. I know this video was not as easy as the other projects, but tell me how it goes. And remember, the instructions for the step-by-step are in the description, so it's very easy to do. See you next time.